We're halfway to Highrock. Let's see what hijinks our heroes get into this week on Hapless Heroes.
As anyone who's familiar with herpes knows, it stays on one side of the glass.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Hapless Heroes podcast. I'm Francesco, and I am resuming DM duties after Phil gave us a wonderfully spooky adventure. Joining me tonight is a cast of characters who almost need no introduction, but we've been doing it this way for 4 years, so why change things now? Starting on my left, we have Dave as Zero, Valen's Avatar of War.
Greetings and salutations.
Mike as Lord and Captain Quid Southwind.
A hero as always.
Nicole as Boris the Butcher.
Hey, everybody.
Phil as Hedrick the Entertainer.
I don't think I'm going to be ordering any more tuna fish omelets.
Certainly not. And John as Lord Jarrell the Light.
Quinn, can we go any faster?
Yes.
So we're going to find that out, actually, yes. Opening back into our adventure here, I guess we'll say our some interns and some heroes were successful in their side quest to disrupt an agent of Vecna from doing some horrible things on an island just south of the Grand Kingdom of Kronnessus. With the vampire servant thing dealt with, we set sail once more on the morrow, since Quinn needed some time to rest and regain some strength after pretty much using his newfound command of the sea abilities to propel the Oberstar, this destroyer-class vessel you guys are borrowing from the Sea Lords, to get you to Highrock in record time. So we're going to start this in the morning of the next day. The skies have cleared up quite a ways. It looks like a perfect day for sailing.
And I feel rested and refreshed.
That's good. So I guess barring any other interruptions, right, or side quests, you guys make way for Highrock, which at the current rate of speed you guys are going, you'll probably make it there within the next day or so, which is impressive since this is typically a much longer journey. So as we're kind of traveling at sea, are there any, I guess I want to see if anyone is doing anything or wants to, explore the ship a bit, or, kind of if they have any preparations they're making, if there's any conversations that you guys like to have before arrival, any planning you may want to do. I'm allowing sort of this time as an opportunity to kind of gather our thoughts before we arrive at Highrock.
I'm quite busy.
Praying. Yeah, sleeping.
Jarrell, wait. Who's busy sleeping? Jarrell or Quinn? Because Quinn's kind of busy, not sleeping.
I'm just busy.
Yeah.
Steering the ship, propelling the ship forward as fast as he can.
Jarrell is just sleeping?
Sleeping, praying.
Loving? Eating?
Eating for sure.
Eat, pray, love. Pray, sleep, love. I don't even
stop.
I don't know how much loving's going on, but...
Eat, pray, love.
Polishing your helmet.
Yep. Every now and again, just tapping it like, is this thing on?
Making sure it still works.
Yeah. All of your prayers kind of go unanswered. I mean, I think that it's, Jarrell, you kind of have your rituals. You do this regardless of whether you get a response or not. I mean, as someone who is a very devout follower of Valen, like you...
The fact that Valen ever talked to me to begin with is a huge deal for me.
Right.
So he's not expecting. I mean, it's been months since I've really heard through the
Anything
helmet.
from her. Right. Ever since Tarantus was removed from where that city once stood, your connection to her appears to have been severed.
Mm-hmm. I am checking out my nice new shinier sword.
Yes, the fully upgraded, what was it? The final form of the Sword of Justice. Yes.
And it is a holy
A
avenger.
Holy Avenger, that's right. Our first legendary item amongst the group.
Oh yeah, the ultimate expression of paladin weaponry.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, after so much of your crusading and your valor and metal against the undead, the sword deemed you worthy of its full capabilities. Okay, so that's what Jarrell and Quinn are doing. Boris, what are you up to? Like, what have you been up to, I guess, like in this, like, 'cause we're going to say this is pretty much like a 24 to, like, maybe 36-hour journey that remains. Is there anything of note that you want to make sure that Boris is doing or has done?
Yeah, Boris would be doing a little less praying and a little bit less taking care of her armor and a little bit less sneaking and roguing around the ship, looking for any sort of trapdoors or hidden areas or secrets or anything that she can find along that line.
Yes. Why don't you, Boris, give me an investigation check?
21.
There's a hold on this ship that's nested within the main cargo storage hold. There are 2 guards posted out front of it, and you know that inside contains a number of goods and gold that are being brought to this port city to do trade with, because in this voyage, right, there's a large crew to this ship, and there's always enough provisions and things like that whenever you're arriving in another port city, it's always good to barter and acquire things that maybe you may not find in the kingdom of the Sea Lords. So there's probably a whole manner of things that are worth a whole bunch of money in there, or just a bunch of money in there. But that is all property of the Sea Lords. I should also note that with a 21, you also note that there are changes of the guard that happen 3 times a day.
Do I know what these 3 times are?
You know that the first shift change happens in the morning. That's the overnight shift being relieved at about 7 a.m. The next shift change is at about... It usually occurs somewhere between 2 and 3 p.m. It depends on how late lunch was that day. And then the final one, there's sort of a bit of a crossover in the evening. There's usually a few more people hanging out down here. You notice that the guards, like the second shift and third shift folks, like to play a round of cards together before the overlapping shifts end.
Okay. And we'd be taking the same ship back, hypothetically, because this trip is not more than 48 hours long.
Correct. This is a two-way.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a two-way trip.
Okay. Do I find any other secret trapdoors or hidden kind of areas anywhere?
The ship itself, I mean, it's laid out like a normal army class vessel of its era. So there's not really a whole lot of secrets. I mean, there's a really, really nice captain's quarters that Quinn has commandeered for himself. With all the lavish bedding and extravagant utensils and goblets and a jewelry cabinet. It has all of the things that a very vain captain may find fitting for them. Especially captaining such a powerful and commanding vessel.
I steal a pretty piece of jewelry.
From Quinn's room?
Well, it doesn't belong to Quinn, right? It belongs to the sea captains.
This is more of stuff that was part of Quinn's rider, we'll call it. You know what I mean?
Okay, I will not steal Quinn's jewelry then.
Yeah. These are all the things that he probably personally requested to have available to him because, he has to be ready for any social event.
Okay. I just note the things about the store that does not belong to us then. And also leave a piece of bubble gum stuck to the side of Quin's nightstand though.
Nice. I mean, here's the thing: he's gonna know where it's from. You're pretty much leaving a calling card.
If I even notice it though.
You wouldn't notice a piece of bubblegum sticking off of your nightstand?
He has lots of
vain.
guns.
What? I mean, I'm looking more at myself than the
That's
things
true.
around
You
me.
probably spend more time looking in the mirror than you do at any of your environment.
There it is.
Good point. Good point, Quinn. Sorry, I stand corrected.
Actually, true. And being aware of this, I chew the piece of gum, put it on his nightstand, and then take his fancy hand mirror and stick it on top of the piece of gum.
There it is.
And it's
Because I do have a
good.
fancy hand mirror.
Oh, we got some pranks. We got some pranks going on aboard the ship here. This is great. Let's see. Zero, I guess, what would you be spending your time before arrival doing?
Okay, so Zero has a whole setup going on. He's converted whatever that sort of conference planning room into, at this point, 24 hours in, it's become fully metastasized as Zero's lab on this ship. Which means, like, the table's been overturned and pressed up against one of the walls to get it out of the way. On one of the credenzas at the side, Reason is mostly taken apart, and he's working on the barrel. He's got this, it was a little flavor item out of his kits, but he has this ancient arrow of Eladrin design that has just been sitting on my character sheet for ages. And he's actually spending some time poring over that right now, trying to see if maybe there's some things he can learn from, old fletching techniques that might help his weapon work a little bit better. Also, as a side note, Arion Black is on the deck of the ship. He's stripped to his waist right now with his suit jacket, shirt, and tie on a hanger off to the side. And he's sitting in one of those sort of beachy lounge chairs, like this is the deck of a cruise ship, holding a metal tray out of the galley, trying to reflect sunlight at his face to get a good overall tan.
Wow. Okay, wonderful. And it's a beautiful aesthetic. Thank you so much for painting that picture for us. Okay. So let's see, Hedrick. I'm not sure if I've checked in with you. What are you up to?
Well, Hedrick wasn't feeling very good, and he was taken by surprise in an omelet form. He was laid out for basically half the journey, just retching, just delirious.
You did order
a
a tuna fish omelet, so yeah.
I mean, he's an adventurer, so he likes to live adventurously, right? When you're gonna order, let's go for the unique. Let's go for the uncommon, and he got it.
Do you still have more or less blankets?
I believe so. The room itself would be true to a rock star status. It is in disarray. He finds himself on a new ship with new quarters where he doesn't know where anything is. He's delirious. He's on a swaying ship on top of an upset stomach.
A swaying ship that's also going on incredible speed.
Ludicrous speed.
So
ludicrous speed! No, I don't think Quinn has fully unlocked ludicrous speed just yet, but we're probably close to that.
yeah,
Is it swaying or is it lurching?
I don't think
that's a good question.
Hedrick doesn't know any ludicrous anyway, so not yet at least. We're going to key in. He's feeling much better, and he wakes up as any rock star would, seeing his room in disarray with very little responsibilities. Breaks open the wine, and then just starts exploring the ship.
Perfect. Make me a Constitution saving throw, please.
Thank you so much. Okay. 12.
You had this weird feeling in your throat as you're like drinking the wine, like, ooh, maybe like this isn't a hair of the dog situation, but you're not sure if the wine is helping you stifle some additional sickness or if it is causing additional sickness. You're kind of in that in-between stage where you're like, you have no idea if this is helping or hurting.
At least find some water and another blanket and wrap the blanket around himself and sip a little water as he's trying to get that taste out of his mouth and sip a little wine in search of maybe some fruit, maybe some nourishment.
Well, there's definitely oranges aboard the ship because no one wants scurvy.
So he goes to the kitchen and retrieves himself one to peel and one for the pocket. And
Sounds
then
good.
he's exploring. He would definitely want to stop and see Zero for a little bit. Certainly tell him how much fun, kind of finishing the conversation, that mayhem machine is the tits, man. I'm telling you. Wait till you get down inside of it. I know you know all about it, but until you're standing on top of that thing while it's moving up the road and you're blasting away these undead nasties, it's one of the greatest feelings I've ever had. Anyways, I appreciate you, Master Helmsman, and you are just invaluable to this team. I hope Valen protects you on this next journey.
Of course. Hold on one moment. And Zero starts rummaging through a pile of things in the corner of the room and pulls out a stapled stack of documents. When you have time, can you fill out this feedback form for this official Omega Project?
Right, of course. I'll get right on that. He takes another sip of wine.
Whenever you have time, we've got a little bit before the mayhem machine is ready to go again.
I'd be happy to give my input.
Thank you so much. Anything we can do to make for a superior Carnage experience.
Go team.
Wonderful. Okay.
The target knows about focus testing, all right?
I mean, certainly he's going to go up on deck and probably go see Kwin because he notices like he was questionable about it before. Now he's seeing the man in action.
Yeah. So what you do see, and Kwin, forgive me here, but I'm going to just go ahead and paint a little exposition for everybody else. Yeah, you're barely having to hold on to the wheel of the ship. Because, I mean, you are controlling the water so well that really every now and again you have to make a slight course correction, but otherwise it's pretty much just you, arms in the air, just like, summoning the power of the ocean to propel this ship forward. You are, you actually have somebody, like one of the crew members, taking any sort of orders from you so that and preventing anyone from interrupting you. So anyone who needs to talk to you has to talk to the first mate of the ship first.
Not Jed Dim.
Jed Dim is on the airship.
Okay. Just clarifying that one point.
This is a ship.
Yeah, this is an actual Navy vessel, not an airship.
So question about my power too. I don't even know if I need this to steer it either. I feel like powering one side more than the other could technically steer the ship.
Sounds like it is.
I could use the water to be steering the ship.
Pretty much, yes. Just every now and again you have to correct the rudder position because, you know what I mean?
Fair enough. Yep.
There's a lot of complex factors involved in piloting a ship that is going faster than it was ever built or intended to go.
With no hands.
How is the ship holding
with
up?
With pretty much no hands. Yeah, it's pretty much like look ma, no hands. The ship is holding up fine. You know your way around a ship, Captain Kwin Southwind. It's literally in your blood.
Well, I do remember that he chose a sort of broader ship. It wasn't the fastest, smallest ship.
No, this is a destroyer class vessel.
Yeah, a little more integrity. So do I see anybody guarding the captain as I approach?
I mean, the first mate is there right by his side. First mate is looks like a halfling man. Goes by the name of Jimmy John.
Jimmy John, the first mate.
Because we're moving so fast.
All right, first mate halfling. Hedrick will approach, and we go, I just have a bit of refreshment here for the captain. And he's going to extend the glass of wine.
Well, as you can see, the captain is very busy.
Of course he is, but certainly he has a little time for an old comrade.
I'll just hang on to it and provide it to the captain at the earliest convenience. Thank you for your service to the captain of this vessel.
Well, thank you, Jimmy John. And, well, you just take good care of him, okay? He's up here all by his lonesome. I don't want him to get,
He says,
feeling...
I'm doing my very best, sir. Go ahead and make me an insight check.
Okay. 18.
You can see almost like a small glint of pain behind the first mate's eyes. As I think, being the personal assistant to Captain Kwin Southwind is probably not the easiest job this first mate has ever had.
You don't say.
But he's doing a very doing a very good job of hiding any displeasure because he does not want to offend or displease the captain of this vessel and the brother of Tessa Southwind, one of the fucking Sea Lords.
So, if Hedrick recognizes all of this, he's going to stand back and understand, this man is not a hero. This man is not a intern. He's not a volunteer. He's been bought for services, and now he's stuck with whatever situation we put him in. So he's going to reach into his breast pocket through his vest and pull out his little personal flask. And it's just some rum. It's maybe half full. But he's going to try to slide a hand into him and say, if you don't wait until you're off duty, I ain't going to tell nobody.
He gives you a slight wink and nods his head.
Just to say I approve. I think he's doing a good job, but I understand. You've got the job that nobody else wants.
You've got your hands full, bud.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what other what ridiculous requests Kwin has given to this first mate on this voyage.
By the time we get run back out of Highrock,
great.
that poor kid is going to feel like Jonah Hill and get him to the Greek.
Oh, God. What
Gonna have scraped bubblegum off of everything.
what are you about to say in your defense there, Kwin?
It's not that bad.
It's probably pretty bad.
Well, you before you leave this ship.
We are legitimately your
Listen.
equals, and
I will
treat.
I will hook this guy up if he makes me a happy cap.
But you're difficult to please.
Jimmy John has no
But
idea what
If
set
he
up
makes
for.
you a happy captain, but just
Sure.
to be clear, exactly how much booze to other stuff is in a happy captain? Is it half rum to some sort of pineapple juice or something? I don't know.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that Jimmy John is doing a fantastic job.
Well, that's good. I'm
God,
glad you
so
can at least
went to the name
recognize.
bucket on Jimmy John.
Should have.
So while you were Quinn, while you're controlling the ship, do I see that you were aware of everything else around you, or are you just focused on the ship?
So you're in. You can see me now.
Well, I walked and I approached. Right next to you, the first mate is there to stand attention so that nobody bothers you. So I'm going through the first mate, but would I be able to see that, I'm there and you're aware of everything around you, or whether or not you're just controlling the ship and your mind is focused on that?
I'm gonna say my mind is pretty focused on it. I how much awareness could I have, Fran?
I'm sure you have at least a general awareness of your surroundings, but I mean, it is taking almost every ounce of focus you have to make sure that this ship stays on course.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
So you know Hedrick is there, but you've pretty much tuned out with whatever the fuck he's saying.
like I'm aware of his presence, but I'm not necessarily aware of like the ins and outs of what's going on.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, if there was something very pressing, the first mate would be the one to interrupt you. But he's the one kind of filtering out. Yeah, Jimmy John's the one filtering out essentially.
Hedrick.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily Hedrick specifically, more just filtering out the requests from and ranking them from most important to least important, and then either giving you the digest at the end of the day, or if it's really urgent, would interrupt you.
So all Hedrick needs to know is that he's not the most important.
Well, he didn't come to you with anything pressing. He came to you with, like, here, have a glass of wine. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say that is something that would require an immediate interruption and your immediate attention.
Agreed.
All right. Anything else happening for the day, or are we advancing?
We can advance.
Quinn, eventually you are, as you kind of retire for the night, and, the first mate takes over just the nighttime sailing, as you kind of get your beauty rest. You are handed at the end of your, captaining here. I don't even know a verb to describe the crazy magic shit you're doing. You are handed a lukewarm glass of wine that Jimmy John has been holding on to all day for you from Hedrick.
Is it red or white?
It's red.
Okay, then it's fine. It's just been aerating, which is not great, but
Hedrick only had maybe a couple of sips out of it. Like, he was not getting hammered. He was just trying to get that taste out of his mouth.
so do I notice the red like line that would form, knowing full well that somebody sipped out of this wine glass?
It's actually a fairly decent quality wine, so yes, you would see that.
I forget what it's called, but yeah. Not residue. I'm trying to think of what the name of it is, but yeah.
The wine's got legs.
It's viscousness.
It's viscosity.
Hedrick residue.
Viscosity. That's what it is. Viscosity.
Ew.
Ew. Hedrick residue. Anyway,
Of all the things
after
we've come up with.
after the amount of energy that I just probably utilized doing what I just did, I'm not sure I care that somebody's already sipped out of this glass of wine. So I'm just gonna sip out of the other end of the wine glass just to make sure that there's no, herpes or anything.
Wow.
Oh, you're worried about that now.
Yeah, this is the first time in how many... Let's see, what is this
Quinn
episode?
ever had herpes? I don't think so.
Roll
I
for
don't know,
it.
man.
Let's
As
not
anyone who's
forget.
familiar with herpes
what's-
knows, it
what's
stays
my
on one
roll?
side of the glass.
It
so-
stays on one side of the glass.
Is it it's a constitution roll?
No, I'm not going to make you roll that right now. That's just
Have
arbitrary.
him roll an insight to know that if he
I rolled an 18 plus 6, so a 24.
You're fine.
I don't think I've ever had herpes.
Maybe.
Well, let's not forget, Hedrick is the bard without
No
the
outbreak.
cougar cannon.
but Quinn, if Hedrick has herpes, guess who else has herpes?
Yeah, but if I sip from the other end.
No,
it'll be
not
fine.
you.
It'll be fine.
Not you.
Oh, my sister!
Tessa?
Hedrick, you bastard!
Okay, first of all, I don't think that there has been any confirmation that there is any herpes anywhere. So we're just going to move on.
Somewhere there's a harpies joke in here, but I haven't quite chiseled it.
You're the harpies! Beware of the harpies!
I'm sorry, sir. Are you saying herpes or harpies? I'm saying harpies.
Let's just avoid both.
Yeah, I mean, both are to be avoided, just for different reasons, right? So, On that note, we have reached the light of dawn. And you hear a honk.
Light of dawn.
Yeah, the light of dawn, and you hear a honk from above aboard the crow's nest. I said, thank you. Did you make me repeat this so that you actually get the cue that I'm throwing your way?
I don't know why Dedu always has to honk. I mean, like it's always him. I'm waiting to find out.
There are who else aboard this ship honks? No one is the answer to that question.
Why is he always in the crow? He's always in the crow's nest. So is he actually? Are you expecting Dedu to actually be paying attention in the crow's nest?
No, I'm just saying you hear a honk, followed by the voice of someone shouting, "Land ahoy!"
Land ahoy!
No, I mean it wasn't. Yeah, you're repeating it now, right? It's like a parrot goose.
Goose parrot.
Goose parrot? Yeah, goose parrot sounds better. Anyways, and what happens is, as you kind of come above decks, you can see in the distance, the skyline and like the just sprawling city of Highrock, which is otherwise known as the city of the Spire. Something you can notice right away, as you guys are approaching. The city of the Spire looks a lot different since your last time here. Plumes of black smoke rise above the cobbled stone buildings that, create the skyline you see in front of you. And it's sort of providing what would be a very hazy, sort of gloomy backdrop to the spire itself, which is a gigantic tower that stands as sort of the centerpiece of the campus of the Archclerisy, behind where the Temple of Valen still stands. Now, the Temple of Valen itself is, in like a large plaza, but it's raised up on a hill. Like it is, the newest, most expensive temple and campus, behind that this city has ever seen. As you guys get closer, you start to pull into the docks, and you see not a lot of people working at the docks. In fact, there is a lowly, singular dock worker that is guiding the ship into port. And as you guys are kind of sitting above decks and, the sounds of the ship settling kind of, subside, this dock worker, begins frantically tying up the ship and mooring it to the harbor. And you can hear... Well, everybody make me perception checks.
21.
23.
Quinn, you're shaking your head.
4.
Yeah, 7.
Okay. So everyone else, besides Quinn and Jarrell, hear far in the distance what almost like the sounds like echoing of like people shouting.
Unrest.
Possibly.
I hate when that happens.
I like getting rest.
Does it seem civil? Civil unrest?
At the distance that you are picking this up from, it is very difficult to discern.
Okay.
But there is a commotion in the distance.
Hedrick notices the dock worker. He's at least trying to help what he can with his mage hand. As he's kind of strumming his lute on the edge of the ship, if we're pulling in, he is going to take interest and try to at least keep him there for some information until we get off.
Sounds good. He actually even regards you and just says, "Well, thank you, friend."
Yeah, no trouble.
And
it's just you here?
Yeah, you picked a very interesting time to be visiting Highrock. As you can see from the clouds of smoke in the distance, the city is not in the greatest of shape.
Well, I agree. I was just wondering, you're the only one seems to still be working.
Well, someone's got to take an eye on the ships arriving in harbor, which, to be honest with you, this is probably the first ship I've seen in months.
Well, I am much obliged for your help, sir. I happen to carry two of the finest agents of Valen. You ever heard of her?
And you can see almost a, actually, make me an insight check.
Okay. Oh, yeah. That's a 20. Dirty. The dirtiest.
His eyes signal to you that, and even just the tone of his voice, like you can almost see his entire body language shift when you mention agents of Valen. And he says, "All right, I'm a devout worshipper of Valen, as you can see." And he like almost like reveals from underneath his burlap sort of, or not burlap, but just rough cotton shirt, like a holy symbol, right, that he wears around his neck. It looks very polished and very new. And he says, it's lots of people are none too happy around these parts with Valen these days, and the church. I'm assuming that's why you're here, right? Just probably just adding to the ranks of the temple guards that are marching through the streets, I assume.
Well, our aim is a little bit more of a permanent nature. Here, he offers a handkerchief, and he'll say, "Wipe your face off. You're about to meet some very important people."
Yeah, he quickly does that.
And I'll help him, kind of straightening his shoulders on his coat and pulling it out. Whatever you could do to dust somebody off. But at least say all right, you've just helped somebody get into town who's about to whoop some butt. So you can be happy in the fact that there was some good thing that happened to you today.
Okay, well, the gangplank is lowered from the ship. You guys are free to disembark. Quinn, you had the night to rest, and the ship was sailed manually the remainder of the journey, so you're feeling actually rested right now. I should also note, you're not feeling any exhaustion from your powers at this point. But as you are stepping off the ship, the dock worker looks in awe, and he says, "Wait a second, is that the Lord and Captain Quinn Southwind?"
Quinn just kind of tips his hat at the dude.
Aye, we might just be in a better position after all. We could use someone of your caliber to figure out what's going on and hopefully put this city right.
That is always my goal, to right the cities I arrive in.
Oh yeah, you're quite the hero. This must be your accomplices? And he gestures to everyone else.
And Hedrick will pipe up, "Allow me to introduce the heroes of Telduria."
Wait, hold on. Now that I know it's the Captain Queen Southwind. Who's who? So I know from who I've read about in the stories.
And at that moment, Jarrell starts to descend the plank with his Franz, Hans, and manservant carrying his gigantic chest again.
This is my trusted right-hand man, the Lord Jarrell the Light.
Ah, Lord Jarrell, the very holy man, follower of Valen. Yes, absolutely. Our Lady, yes, I'm so pleased that you're here.
Jarrell kind of smiles and just keeps walking down the dock with his 3 retainers in tow.
and he sees the loot slung over Hedrick's back, and he says, "Oh, you must be Hedrick! Oh, the jester! Oh, you're so funny! Oh, the things that I've read about you are just so hilarious! Quick, tell me a joke. Come on, tell me a joke."
On the spot. Why do monks like coffee so much?
He like waits in anticipation.
'Cause of all the cacao! And he lets out like a big flamboyant kick.
Okay, I mean that one made me laugh personally. But the dock worker actually like blinks at you unfazed, and he looks at Quinn. "Oh, you're right about him. Like he's so much funnier than that."
It is a little bit of fiction.
Oh, come
Yeah,
on.
well,
You're telling me your
we
secrets
also-
now, Captain?
Well, I gotta make all of them look somewhat presentable.
I remember reading word for word. You described Hedrick as the biggest joke the world has ever seen.
Ah, and that he is.
Ouch.
I don't like the DM is putting words in my character's mouth.
I just
Okay,
know that you
cool.
guys. Well, that was written around the. Listen, those stories were written around the time where y'all were feuding.
That's true. That's
We
true.
literally
And
have an
Hedrick
episode
was not
entitled "Battle
That's
of
true.
the Bards."
He has thus proven himself to be a loyal and trusted member of this group.
What? Apologies. Didn't mean any offense.
I'm sure the captain meant nothing by it, and the records in the future will dictate as such. There's no offense here between heroes. In fact, I happen to know he loves to give autographs.
Oh, could you autograph? He actually pulls out one of your stories that he has on his person. Do you mind?
Hedrick pulls out a quill.
Quinn was literally thinking my quill is not inked currently, but you beat him to it. Well played, Hedrick. Well played.
Do you say the "well
take-
played" part out loud, or is that a personal
No, it's
aside?
It's more in my eyes.
Okay.
Like, I just look at him and he knows what I mean.
Hedrick
and
walks away.
I take the quill and I scribble on the parchment.
Oh, I'll cherish this forever, mate. I really will. How long you planning on being in town for? Actually, I'm sorry. I shouldn't keep you. I shouldn't ask you all these questions. I'm sorry. I'm just such a huge fan.
I take as much time with my fans as I deem appropriate. And right now, it is no longer appropriate. Goodbye.
As Zero's coming down, I think Zero and Boris are still like walking all out. Like Hedrick's at least going to introduce them.
Actually, as soon as he sees Boris step out, he's like, "Oi, royalty! Oh, it's Boris the Benevolent. Oh, madam, at your service. I'm just a recent transplant from Riverford. I've heard things have gone quite well under your rule. I have to say, I'm so glad that that someone can turn it around, turn that place around. The last Baron was a horrible, horrible man. That's how I found myself in Highrock."
I billow my cloak.
Oh yes,
And-
of course.
Pop a bubblegum or a bubble from my bubblegum cigar before saying, "Yeah, things are definitely better over there now, but I'm glad that you seem to be happy here. Everything's going well for you on this side, even though it seems to be kind of quiet."
Well, things were going all right until about. I don't know. The last several months have been quite terrible, and it just seems to be getting worse. But this is where I make a living, and I don't have the money to move back.
Well, if you ever find your way back, you're always welcome home in Riverford. And I hand him a bubblegum cigar. And a gold piece.
Oh, thank you, madam. This will help tremendously. Your generosity is truly that. It truly matches with the stories they tell about you.
What is your name?
Hold on. I will go to the name bucket for this.
Name bucket.
My name's Terry. Terry Jenkins. But some of my friends call me Sassy Britches.
Well, what do you prefer, your friends or acquaintances?
You hearers can call me.
Wouldn't you?
You hearers can address me however you like.
I kind of like that, Britches. I'll just call you Britches.
Sassy Britches. That's me.
Sassy.
Yeah, Terry Sassy Britches Jenkins.
Allow me to introduce Omega Project Prototype Zero, Valen's Avatar of War.
He stands up straight and just like he doesn't really. He seems like he doesn't really know what to do, so he just like salutes.
Easy there. And Zero actually looks just as uncomfortable as he can get away with looking with his sort of limited range of facial expressions. Honor's all mine. So I think Hedrick, I think we might need to keep that Avatar of War thing under our hat for a little bit if this city is anything like it's sounding from the way this guy is saying. And yes, Mr. Britches, it was. Can you maybe go into a little more depth on what's been going on around here?
Well, I only know what I've seen. Several months.
It's a lot more than we've seen.
Several months ago. Probably around the time that news traveled here that Tarantus went missing. Which, first of all, still don't know how an entire city goes missing, but it's a crazy world we live in these days.
Yeah, we were there and neither do we, but we'll move on.
Oh, right, you were there. Yes, I read the stories. It's horrifying. Is it true? Is it true then that Vecna has taken the city?
Just as a brief aside, is that something we've publicly acknowledged?
I'm not
Quinn
sure.
wrote
Actually,
the stories after the fact.
Quinn wrote the stories, so
Yeah.
That would be up to Quinn, I suppose.
Yes.
so it's known.
Yeah. Sadly, yes. Mostly because
I tell no lie.
Yeah, and we couldn't exactly go, trying to tell people that we just, sort of, lost it like pocket change or something.
We're talking.
Sort of a momentous
We're talking about the power of gods. I mean, yeah, heroes, but what are you? What are we in the face of the gods? Am I right?
Depends on which one you're talking to, but anyhow. So you're saying things went a little sideways here after.
Well, we remember after the Battle of the Last Wall, a few of the temples crumbled to the ground. We thought maybe it was a fault in their construction, or something wrong with, maybe the foundations that they were built on.
So when you say a few went around the Battle of Last Wall, which ones are we talking about now?
The Shrine of Pelor, the Shrine of, was it Muradin? I think I said it was the King of the Dwarves.
Yeah.
Muradin, and
Saint Cuthbert the Cudgel wouldn't have had his own, so
no. Yeah, those two fell. We thought it was just a fluke. But then several weeks later, their followers of those gods, started going mad.
Mad, like having a bad day mad, or are we talking the failed programming kind of mad?
I would say it was a good mixture of both. We had some former clergy people stripping naked, running through the streets, screaming nonsense. We had others who were committing acts of violence and just doing terrible things. They were rounded up by the Archclerisy of Valen and thrown into the dungeons. And we heard that when questioned, they just didn't make any sense.
That sounds a lot like Boss, actually. Oh, I'm sorry. That's jargon. Burnt out scientist syndrome. It happens quite a bit, mostly in the month of November for whatever reason down in Kelmar. But I digress, as I often do.
Oh yeah, it was very strange. That's when things started to change a little bit more in here. We saw that there were more temple guards and paladins of Valen roaming the streets, trying to keep the peace. People wanted answers, and things got a little scary. Just because not long after that, Tarantus fell, and then shortly after that, temples started dropping like flies.
Temples. By that, which ones are you talking? Which ones specifically do you mean? Thankfully, Zero, having the greatest poker face in the world, doesn't betray the fact that he kind of has an idea of what's going on.
He says,
I just want to clarify that before you go into that, because Jarrell's not in this conversation. He's like off at the end of the dock doing like the confused Travolta thing again, because nobody is here to greet us except for this one guy. So that's what Jarrell's doing, like way off.
You were expecting like a royal welcome or some shit.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. He continues. He says, and you see his face turn very sour, and he just looks at you and he says in a very serious tone, "All of them, besides the Temple of Aelin."
So the Temple of Aelin is still standing.
'Tis the only one. Because it is the one true faith, am I right? It's the one true faith, yes. And he again displays his holy symbol. Hedrick notices again that this he it's that same nervousness that he's projecting.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the followers of Valen or the proponents of Valen have been acting in the last few months.
Well, I'll tell you, it's
not going to be that way.
It's pretty much martial law here. Curfews, a ban on all magic practices, approved healing by appointment only at the temple itself. We have paladins and other temple guards marching the streets constantly. The people are upset. Trade has been almost essentially cut off because all the ports in the world don't want to trade here when everything's going to shit. I see that some of your crew are unloading supplies, and I'll tell you, they're going to go a long way, but it's not going to feed everybody. And I'm not sure how much we have to offer. The temple is doing what it can to feed civilians, but we're talking. I know Shalandria has been running a soup kitchen for the hungry, but I haven't really seen too much of the high priests operating here. And I heard the Pope left on some important mission. So I feel like we're just in disarray.
Okay, good. That soup kitchen might be somewhere we need to know about because, well, frankly, the last time I was here, Shalandria was the only adult in town.
Oh yes,
including the people we took with.
Heard about your first visit here.
It's okay. We didn't bring them. We didn't bring them back.
Nope, doesn't look like it. And you have a member of the church itself, so it seems like you've adjusted your company.
We've gotten better at reading the room.
Well, I don't want to keep you. I mean, if you have any other questions, I'm not sure what I can answer. I've just been trying to do my job.
Let's see. Any highlights of any new laws that have been dropped on you folks? Now you're saying no more magic practice and healing is only gone at any certain place. Are there any other laws we need to make sure not to run afoul of?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure how the laws work for heroes such as yourselves. I'm not sure if they've made any exceptions. But I know that everyone has to be indoors by 8 p.m. They've shut down all nightlife as a result of that. So good luck finding any late night entertainment, if you know what I mean. And he winks at Kwin. What else?
Quinn winks back.
They've increased taxes. Doesn't really affect you, but it affects us. So this gold piece will go a long way.
You can feel free to keep that one off the books, by the way.
Appreciate that. I'll just stow that away for an emergency.
Yeah, so Zero just turns to everyone else. So, gentlemen, which one of these laws do we feel like breaking first?
Clearly the nightlife law.
Gentlemen and...
Lady. Well, girl.
Gentlemen and...
She's a baroness.
Yeah, I'm a gentleman.
Not just
Zero's also
Hey.
Zero's also a
She's-
strictly speaking gender-neutral construct.
Love it.
Boris is actually going to pull Terry aside for a second here anyway.
Okay.
And just aside from everyone else, when nobody's looking, just sleight of hand him an extra 10 gold coins.
Oi,
If
Baroness.
you ever need to get back to Riverford,
He
tuck this away for an emergency.
he looks at you and says, I can't take this. There'd be no way I could ever repay you.
You're from Riverford. You're one of us. Just take it. Don't say anything. And just if you ever need to come back, things might get a little hectic here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. This is enough for me and my entire family to move back. We've got 3 kids.
I pull 3 bubblegum cigars out of my pocket and also add them to the gold coins. And then go back to the conversation. Billowing.
You can see him actually visibly tearing up. Like you just changed his life. Inspiration to Boris the Butcher. You'll have adult. We call it adult onset inspiration, so you can apply that to the next session.
Do I have to wait until I'm an adult?
Ha
None of us would be able to use it.
That's true.
Yeah, based on actual, like,
200 hours worth of recording, yeah. Recording evidence that we are not adults.
Just then you hear a voice booming just through the air. You have no idea where it's coming from, but it seems to be sort of echoing in every corner. Citizens must return to their homes immediately. We are now
not a citizen and don't have a home.
in a temporary lockdown. Any citizens remaining in the street will be asked to return home or face consequences. By her holy decree, it is done.
Zero turns to Quinn. It's Southwind. Isn't this ship technically Sea Lord territory?
Technically, yes.
Fantastic. I'm sure it, at the expense of creating any sort of diplomatic issues. If our friend needs to, hang out on the ship or escape any people to here while things are going a little sideways, I think we can turn a blind eye. The law can't exactly touch him or anybody else on this ship, can they?
Any fan of mine is welcome on my ship.
If he needs it.
Oh,
I mean, if nothing else, it'll piss off the powers that be something ferocious.
he says, it's not necessary. I'm going to have my family gather their things and we move to Riverford tomorrow. The Baroness has kindly allowed me the means to travel.
Fantastic. Travel safe. We'll see you in civilization.
And he actually bids you farewell and scampers home after hearing the order.
As he's scampering off, I quickly ask him for directions also to the closest orphanage, or where I could find a couple of street orphans maybe nearby.
Oh, he hands you a map of the city.
Which I immediately hand over to somebody old enough to read a map.
Oh, come on. You were taught how to read. You're fine.
That's true. I would actually, I would definitely know.
You were taught how to read by Baroness Anasterian herself. So, actually, a.k.a. Captain Kip, for the uninitiated.
And I'd be
Not
familiar
to
with
mention,
maps.
she, in terms of actual adultness, she might actually be the adult in the room.
It's very true.
I've met the rest of us.
All right.
I mean, she's probably saved more orphans than we've saved lives at this point.
Well, with that announcement, and with the, your new friend returning home, you guys make your way into the city proper, and that is where we're going to call this episode of The Hapless Heroes. So hey,
Oh no!
if you like us, you could find
Has
us.
it been an hour already?
Yeah. If you like us, you can find us on the internet. We're on such places as Twitter and Instagram at Hapless Heroes. We're also on Facebook and Reddit. Just search for Hapless Heroes Podcast. Really, though, those places are going to just point you to what we consider to be the crown jewel of our internet presence. It's our Discord server, where you can meet and interact with us on a daily basis. I know Dave and I are very active in there. We have a very active listener base in there. We even have a separate spoiler tag channel for episode talks that you know that you're not going to miss any, or you're not going to get any details before you intend to. We try to be as strict as we can with that stuff to make sure that your listening experience is not tainted, as well as many other channels for any other discussion topics that you may want to have. I know we've had many riveting arguments in the past, like, does pineapple belong on pizza? Of which the room is split.
Nope. It's a no.
Absolutely.
Oh my. Let's not get into this right now. Anyways, so it's just an example of some of the interesting and fun conversations that happen in there. So please join us. Come say hi. It's really a cool place to hang out. But if you really like us, you can leave us a 5-star review on the podcast service of your choice. At this point, I'm not even sure which ones actually accept reviews. I know, it's like iTunes, Stitcher, maybe, but wherever you feel you want to share those kind words about us, we will go right ahead and read those and say some kind words right back to you to tell you how much of a 5-star human we think you are. But if you really, really like us, you can donate to our Patreon. It's just patreon.com/haplessheroes. We have all manner of rewards on there. It's really just we've tried to think about as many ways we can give back to you guys as possible for, you helping us keep this show running and, creating that emergency fund to replace equipment and things like that, and just recoup, the thousands of dollars we've spent to, make this show a thing on, equipment and all that other stuff. It's really gone an absolute long way, and I could not be more grateful for all the support we've received.
And if you like us, right now, you love us, Sally Fields and the whole deal, what you're going to do is take popcorn and then make the popcorn into little sculptures with the popcorn of the characters and make a diorama of your favorite Hapless Hero scene.
Out of popcorn. Oh, that's wonderful.
And then eat it.
That's so doable.
Popcorn diorama.
Yeah, marginally legal.
Marginally.
Merge.
I want to know the part of that that's not legal. Maybe not. You know what? I don't want to know. I don't want to know because I don't want to give people ideas.
Depends what your favorite scene is.
Well,
Marginally.
my goodness. All right. Well, before we get too much more off the rails here, I'm just going to go ahead and outro this wonderful cast, starting in my virtual right this time with John as Lord Jarrell the Light.
I'm sure the welcoming party will be here soon.
Phil as Hedrick the Entertainer.
I don't think I'm going to have any luck getting a gig here.
Nicole as Boris the Benevolent.
I feel like the carriage I requested might not be coming.
Mike as Lord and Captain Quinn Southwind.
I love giving autographs because Quin's quill quivers quickly.
Sorry, I have to take a moment to appreciate that. I think my I think my nipples got a little hard from that one.
Not only that, but what quill am I talking about?
Doesn't matter. Clippers?
Yes, it does. One of them.
I know. So now Fran's going to have to replace his shirt, and half of our audience is going to have to replace their pants.
My. Well, and finally, Dave as Zero, Valen's Avatar of War.
So, who's going to tell Jarrell?
And I'm Francesco. I've been your host and DM. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye now. Bye.
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 Goodbye. Goodbye.